So let me then look at it from this perspective. You have described our elections as a hollow ritual at some point.
Well,
And
once upon a time, you had the hollow rituals. Now you are not even going to have any hollow rituals. Don't worry.
so it's not going to be, what would we be expecting to have
What
come
can you possibly
2027?
expect? What can you possibly expect? Reality is, you and I have sat in this studio, I believe it was over 2 years ago, closer to 3 years ago, and I told you categorically at the time that there will be no election in 2027. And there is nothing that has happened to suggest that I was off tangent. Everything that has happened up until this point, since 2023, confirmed what I told you at that time. And it wasn't like I was gazing at some crystal ball. All I had to do was look at what happened in 2023. Persons who had no business, even in the elections, not just, when you focus on the presidency, you lose sight of the emergence of people like Akpabio, who emerged in the Senate in spite of the fact that they were not even qualified to run. They were expressly disqualified by provisions of the Electoral Act. Akpabio, Lawan, but they ended up in the Senate, and the courts endorsed it. So you had a situation where our judicial system has become an instrument for working from the question, from the answer to the question. So they do it first, and then they find a way for the judiciary to ratify what is already done. So the judiciary is no longer there to adjudicate based on law and equity. It is there to rationalize what has been done that should never be done. All of a sudden, we don't know the meaning of hand any longer. There are multiple things that have established the complicity of the judiciary in the mess that we found ourselves in. So it's, when you're now talking about election in 2027, you're dealing with a situation where the INEC, the judiciary, everybody is working to ensure seamlessly that there are no viable platforms for anyone to contest elections.
So how do we have a democracy that...
We've never had a democracy. We've only ever had a performative shadow of a democracy. And whatever performative shadows we once had were effectively destroyed in 2023. That was the last pretense at an election.
So you have said the Nigerians are not citizens. And
how can you have citizens in a place not ruled by law?
So if you don't have citizens and you don't have democracy, and your view is that there is no election, it used to be hollow, but now there's not even going to be an election. Again, it brings us down to this point where we say, are we in a situation where we're doomed for failure?
No. See, every nation in the world today once found itself pretty much where we are. That was the point where human beings would have to ask themselves if they still retain the capacity to evolve and find solutions to their existential problems. The existential problem of the Nigerian today is the governance system in Nigeria. The idea of feudalism that denies equality and citizenship to the Nigerian and renders it impossible to have a society governed by law. That is the challenge of the Nigerian, whether they are young or old. We must all recognize the fact that the absence of the rule of law has guaranteed that things will remain where it is the whim of men, just the mere whims of puny men, men who do not even have the imagination to evolve a better country. Those will be what will continue to rule us until we evolve a system that is anchored to the law. Having identified that, we must now ask ourselves, why has it proven so difficult to evolve such a society, and why has this evil endured for as long as it has endured and would appear to have even been strengthened? Reality is that it is our many divisions, our readiness to be divided on the basis of ethnicity, on the basis of religion, on the basis of even sectarian differences within the same religion, our readiness to be divided by all of those makes it difficult for us to realize the many things that unite us. There is already a commonality of the afflictions. Whatever amount I'm paying for petrol in Lagos is what they will pay in Kaduna. Maybe they will even pay more. In Nnewi, all of us are in the same pot. People are finding reasons to tolerate the evil because they find solidarity with parts of the same class that is afflicting all of us. They will remind us of ethnic differences. But when it comes to that place where you see the beneficiaries, nobody is asking the ethnicity of the next man. If you want to see how laughable it is, look at their City Boy movement. Some of the biggest Igbo boys, they are the prime movers of City Boy movement. And then one idiot, Mukaila in Ajegunle, who has barely had a meal to eat today, will be abusing Chinedu. Chinedu will be abusing Adekunle. But the reality is that when it comes to the beneficiaries, nobody is checking their ethnic identity or their religious identities for that matter. So it is when Nigerians come to the understanding of the fact that they need to find common purpose. If your afflictions are the same, why is it so difficult to find common purpose to resolve the problems? Education is comatose in the north, west, south, east, everywhere. The healthcare system is the same, collapsed. Security is the same, collapsed. There is nothing for the common man, regardless of where he is from. One of the most afflicted parts of Nigeria when it comes to insecurity today is Katsina. That was Buhari's home. Now it's become a wasteland of banditry simply because compromises were made. So the man in Katsina is suffering the same banditry that the man in Kwara, in Ogun State, in even Oyo State, everywhere. We are all suffering from the same things, but we are failing to evolve common solutions to common problems.